All right, let's see how much we can get done today. This is basically day number 2 for me. Work was being cooperative today, so that was a good thing. Sorry, just trying to get the flux on my Q-tip going. So yesterday we did the bottom portion. It's not done. I am gonna put a bigger bead on there, or yeah, put a bigger bead and smooth it out. Now we're gonna do the inside. I wish I showed a little. I wish I could get a better angle on that, but it is what it is. Right? Now, the other thing, what you don't want to do is make the glass so tall that your iron cannot reach the inside of the bottom. That's gonna make it difficult, obviously. And one thing to consider is when you're working on glass, and to avoid heat crack, is at the bottom portion of this project. If you stay in one area for too long, you will have a heat crack. Now, I didn't clean the project off last night, but I definitely don't want the flux to stay on there much longer than it's already on there since yesterday night. You want to read the back of the flux for any information on how long you can leave flux on glass. Novacant says not to leave flux on glass for longer than 9 hours, I believe is what it says. Flux is acidic, but not as bad as patina, so I haven't witnessed any etching because of flux. Patina will stain and etch certain glass, from what I can tell. Now I'm just trying to go as fast as I can because of the video. But generally, I'm not in a rush or anything to finish this. What I would like to do is finish the inside for the video first, and then start on the outside, and then wash it off. Can't work on this for too long today. Still gotta make dinner, and Matlock is on tonight. Definitely want to watch Matlock. I generally don't watch too much TV. I'd rather be working with stained glass. But, you know, if you got a nice series from Netflix or your provider, your TV provider, we'll watch it from time to time. I think Ghost is on tonight too. So I haven't had any issue as far as for solder spilling over into the other side. Not yet, at least. But I imagine as long as I don't overheat the bottom portion while I'm working on this right now, or when I do my final beading on the outside bottom, since the glass was sitting overnight, I shouldn't have any problems whatsoever as far as for the bottom solder getting through to the other side. I think the solder has had plenty of time to cool off. Sorry, I'm just cleaning up some of the soldering. But again, right now I've been in here for too long. I don't want to stay in there too much longer. So I'm not sure if this is showing or not, but that's pretty much the bottom of it being done. So I do save the outside for very last. I am going to be fluxing every single line. And I do see a bit of a gap in between the glass. It's fine. If you let the glass cool long enough, solder should not overflow to the other side. The only thing I don't like about gaps is with flux and air getting trapped in it. And if you have too much flux, it does boil. So sometimes you do get those little pops of solder. So from the other videos, you can see there's no gap anymore. Nothing's flowed through, nothing's gone through to the other side. So before I do that portion, I want to get the top of the rim soldered a little bit, just to get it started. Because what I want to do is go from the bottom all the way to the top without really stopping. That way I'm not interrupting the flow of the solder on the inside. But you could try your own thing and see what works best for you, but after doing so many of these, I just find this is the easiest way for me to do it. And this allows the bottom portion of the glass to cool off some. Yeah, maybe it's not a good idea, but I generally don't wear a glove whatsoever. I should. But so far I've been lucky. In the sense that I don't get burned by the solder or the iron. When I first started, I do recall getting burnt by solder landing on my fingers or my hand. That is painful. But you know, over time you kind of know what to look for and be a little more cautious as to what you're doing. After all, you are working with a hot iron and something that's liquid, a solid thing that's been liquefied. Alright, let's see how best we can do so that we can film this. Try to move the cords out of the way. It's not gonna show, unfortunately. Can I use anything? See, the thing is, I don't want to tilt this because when I'm melting the solder, it's gonna flow towards the bottom. So I do want to keep this flat. Sorry. Jeez, don't mean to get anybody seasick on here. No, that's just one quick line. It looks like I'm gonna need a little bit more solder, which is fine. Oh, geez, and it dripped, of course. There we go. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, I need just a little more solder at the bottom portion of it. Not sure if it shows, but that's one line. Now, I already went over that same line 3 times. That's the last time I'm going over that line. I want to make sure I'm not going to get a heat crack from it. Doing the inside is surprisingly very simple compared to doing the outside. And the soldering line looks so perfect. It's not me, it's just the way the glass is, tilted. That helps. So that was, 1, 2, 3 times. I think I'm safe enough to go one more time. I'm gonna put a little bead on the iron. Now the heat rises to the top, unfortunately. As you can see, I don't go too fast. Just quick enough so that the iron's picking up the solder. And I can feel it with my thumb that it is getting a little hot in there. Moving on to the next one. So this is why you don't want your glass to be too tall. Or doing this, you're gonna be all stretched out in weird ways while you're trying to solder the inside. So now we got 3 lines done. Moving on to the next one. That one actually went pretty quick, thankfully. I think I got enough solder on this one. It's nice when you can get one nice line on the first attempt and not having to go back on the same line again. Saves time and not overheating the glass either. Ice. So that worked out. So you want to put more solder towards the bottom and drag whatever solder you have towards the top. And if you tilt the project also, oh shoot, see now I put way too much solder. don't know if you can see that, but right there, there's just a bit too much. Sorry, there's just no real way to get a better angle on this. So yeah, you can tilt the glass, so that way when the solder's melted some, it's easier to for it to go up in the dead center. That one didn't work out so well. First I put way too much solder, and it looks like I didn't have enough flux on there. I'm gonna have to come back to that one. I don't want to keep going over and over again, just to avoid the heat crack, right? I don't know, when you're soldering, it all depends. I mean, you don't want to tin it and just have it tinted only, but I really don't want a mountain high bead as well either. It looks okay, but controlling how big the bead is also showing some skill as well, right? A little lump is good. But you want to be able to control how much solder you put down and how high your beading is. It just shows some ability to control how much solder you're putting down. I mean if you're struggling with soldering, it takes a little time. I wouldn't do what I do is when I was learning and practicing, I was cracking pieces left and right. Couldn't figure it out back then. There really wasn't any internet. There was a class in Pasadena, California that I could have possibly taken, but the weekends always looked pretty busy, and I always like to learn things on my own, figuring it out. But yeah, learning how to avoid heat crack was a challenge. There we go. But I'm a strong believer. If I can do something, anybody else can do this too. It's not rocket science, and once you figured out something, it all makes sense. And the best thing about when it makes sense is you can imagine what it all means and the procedure required, the steps. There are right steps and there are wrong steps, unfortunately. In the sense that, if time's of the essence, having a good procedure and steps on how to do things, it saves a lot of time, That's what I mean. In the sense of the right way and the wrong way. But hey, if it's gonna finish the project, what does anybody have to say about what they're doing? If they're completing a project and it looks really good at the end, doesn't matter if it took them an hour or two longer. No. Main thing is finishing something and being proud that you can do it as well, as many others can as well. Alright, we're getting closer to the end of this. Yeah, I just wish I had a ability to show you what goes on inside of this as I'm soldering, but I'm all contorted and the video's gonna be looking all weird. Focus point would be difficult, I think. So key is to have a good amount of solder at the bottom, and then you just simply drag it to the top, and then once you get to the top you just move it over and repeat the process. Alright. So it's all... Ay, that piece is hot. Jesus Lord. Sorry, don't mean to use his name in vain. But it's all done inside. Alright, so the next step... Man, bad mistake. I left my flux jar open, so it's evaporating, so talk about wasting flux. Alright. Oh, nice job. So in a sense, I am going to be tinning the outer edge because I want the solder to flow down when I stand this guy up and beat the top portion of it. Alright, there we go. Now this glass unfortunately isn't thick enough, or I should say wide enough. I do like a wide glass, because then the top of the glass, the edging, is actually very simple. You don't have to tap and lift, tap and lift. But this one is oddly allowing me to run the solder. I mean, you gotta appreciate that, right? I mean, the other option is if your glass is too thin, then you basically put a little bead on top and then you just tap it. The only bad thing with that is it does show that you're tapping and going. But hey, we're not machines. Some people are just gonna appreciate what you've done. They're not gonna care how smooth or fine your soldering is. I think that's more of us being picky, I guess. Because I can complain about a piece and then somebody's gonna say, oh wow, that's really nice. I'm like, well, the solder isn't nice, but they don't see that. They just appreciate the results. So that's the other method of beating the edge. Now, since we've already done the inside, next step is to basically I'm going to be tinning the outer edge. I don't want too much flux inside the crevices. That's where you have the possibility of pops. And boiling the flux. But let's see how it goes, because I've been surprised from a few times where I could have actually done it in one stroke. But I'm technically not ready for it because I haven't really beaded the bottom portion to the way I want it to be. But hey, we'll see how it goes, right? Alright. Which is the hottest piece right now? Thankfully the glass is cooling off right now. Alright, we're gonna have to start with number 1. And the Sharpie marks will come off. If not during the washing stage, for sure it's gonna come off when I wax it. That's the great thing about wax. See, that's the first attempt. I want it to be just a little wider than that, or lumpier than that. But I don't know. Some people would be happy with that soldering line, and we know we can do it smoother than that. See, the flux is boiling when it does that. Sorry, I need to get like a microphone or something because generally I don't talk loud. I don't talk much either. So all this stuff is just random blabbling. So yeah, you don't want to do this with, solder. You want to try to keep a smooth motion. I guess I could show you. There's another way to solder as well if you're having difficulties. You could just put blobs like this. And then run the iron down it. I mean, that works too, you know. But learning to feed the iron with the solder is a really good skill to learn. It does take a little time, because sometimes you do put too much and sometimes you don't put enough. Like right now there's too much on this little portion of the glass. In order to remove solder, all you do is just pick it up with your solder and drag it down the glass, and it picks it up. So that's another way of soldering. You just put blobs of solder and then just go down the line. Just go nice and smoothly, and the bead will do its thing. I'm not too concerned about all those little drips. I don't know why it was doing that, to be honest. A little strange. Alright. This one I don't like is, I don't know if you can see the little two pinholes down here. And the solder did not catch that foil. So I might have been a little too shy on the flux. The thing is, I don't want to put too much flux either. A little does go a long way. I just don't want to puddle, because that can get very dangerous if it pops. I've had it come close to my eyes before. I need to get new glasses so that way at least my eyes are protected. I didn't get the bifocals, so anytime I'm working on glass, I don't have my glasses on. It's okay to be smarter than me. Wear protective eyeglasses. It's for your own good. See, what I like about the Hakko iron is it's always ready to go, you know. My Weller 80 SP was, it worked. I mean, you could get good soldering beads and stuff like that, but it always had a hard time to keep the heat going. And that meant waiting 30 seconds every time it cooled off. The Hakko FX601, you generally don't need to worry about that. Now, I've only been using Amerway 6040 solder. People keep talking about other solders being better. I'm sure there are. Maybe they flow a little bit better. But I see nothing wrong with this one. I mean, is it pure and clean like maybe some of the other ones? Maybe not. But unless someone's going to spend a ton of money on a project, I'll stick with Amerway. See, I shouldn't have done that. See, for some reason, solder is not getting on there, onto the bit of foil. There we go. That's what we like to see. So that one's actually not too bad. I shouldn't lift it because it's gonna show. So I do love to solder. I think that's the one reason I do like stained glasses, so I can get to the stage and do the soldering bit, you know. I know some people find it frustrating, but for me it's a good challenge. And I like to learn why I fail, so I can fix whatever I need to do on myself. Flux is going to do what flux is going to do. Solder is going to do what's going to do, right? So I don't care if someone says this flux is the best or that solder is the best. To be honest, it's you against the solder, your iron, and your flux. It's understanding what flux solder does. But then again, I never tried the more expensive stuff, so who knows. I have tried gel flux. I've tried paste flux. Paste I didn't really enjoy as much as same thing with the gel. I found that the entire project gets very slimy. I mean, it's slimy right now a little bit, but not to that. I guess my finger's a little sensitive where I totally notice. But again, to each their own. It's not about the brand. It's about what you learn to use and that works for you. That's the most important thing, not the brand. Now, the reason why I use Novocaine is, this stuff is hazardous in the sense that it does have acid. But when you look up your flux, you can see what kind of chemical it has. And the chemical, what's required to kill the acid or neutralize the acid. And Novocaine just requires regular household item or cleaning items to neutralize the acid. Now, if you look at certain other ones, I think was it Glass Pro, when I used the gel on that one, it specifically said that you want to use possibly baking soda to neutralize it. Now, if I can't use regular Dawn dish soap washing soap, that tells me something. The acid on that flux was very strong, and you need something more stronger than that to neutralize it. Alright, so this is it. Pretty quick, right? Oh shit, 37 minutes. Sorry. So, I'll do another video with the final touches, because this one went on for way too long. I didn't think it was going to take this long. Hope you enjoyed.